You go into Scientology, Hubbard started a thing called Keeping Scientology Working. And you read it with every single course that you do. He goes over it. And it's 10 steps. You have to know the tech. You have to know the tech is correct. You have to, stamp out any misusage of the tech. But basically what he talks about is in groups. I'll read a little bit of it to you. I don't have the whole thing here, but he said, these are a couple of quotes from Keeping Scientology Working. This is a deadly serious activity. And if we miss getting out of the trap now, we may never have another chance. Remember, this is our first chance to do it in endless trillions of years of the past. Do them and we'll win. That's what he said in Keeping Scientology Working, 7 February 1965. And he also said in The Aims of Scientology, we will never betray your faith in us so long as you are one of us. Now, when you're in, you don't really get that last part of it. You know what I mean? It's just that they'll always be with you. But if you leave, they definitely change it. And here's another one that he said, in Central Organization's Efficiency, we're playing for blood. The stake is earth. If we don't make it, nobody will. We're the sole agency in existence today that can forestall the erasure of all civilizations and bring a new and better one. Ooh. If we aren't willing to be hanged for our mistakes, we'll surely fry for them. So let's get causative, each and every one. So, I mean, the guy was, it sounds kind of, doesn't it sound pretty fanatical right now when you see it? But when you're in and you're amongst all these other people, you're like, oh, yeah. Now, they call everybody who isn't a Scientologist a wog. So they'll say it all the time, oh, he's just a wog. Those humanist people, they're just a bunch of wogs, right? Like you're better than they are. And I never liked that because it always felt kind of like us and them, but they're really big on building in that us and them. Like we're it, everybody else is nothing. The media are horrible. Hubbard was kind of a real fanatic as far as, schizophrenia and worrying about people and paranoia, and he felt like everybody was after him. So he built in all these things from it, including Keeping Scientology Working. All right, so let me see where I'm at. Okay, I read you about PTS. You got that. All right, so 1982, have you ever heard of the Guardian's Office, any of you? Okay, the Guardian's Office. Hubbard started a thing called the Guardian's Office. Now, Hubbard started it. He put his wife as in charge of it, right? And they were doing a lot of really nasty things. Probably the worst thing that I know of that they did, there was a lady named Paulette Cooper who was a journalist. And she said, I think I'll go in and do a course in Scientology, check it out. She did it, and she wrote a book called The Scandal of Scientology. Well, the Guardian's Office broke into her house, stole her paper with fingerprints on it, wrote a bomb threat, sent it to the government. They were about ready to arrest her and put her in prison, when luckily, along with that, they were breaking into federal offices, stealing information that was there about Scientology. And the government broke into the Guardian's Office and found Operation Freakout, which was step by step how to basically put Paulette Cooper in prison, right? And a number of other things they'd done. So 9 people went to prison for that in '82. And one of them was Mary Sue Hubbard. I mean, Hubbard goes, it wasn't me, it's her. Remember, she's in charge of it. Which, you think about what kind of person could do that. But being in, they were like, L. Ron Hubbard would never do things like that. Those people, that Guardian's Office, they're canceled, it's over, forget it. Then they start the Office of Special Affairs. Now, at the same time, right around '79, I had moved to Clearwater, Florida with my husband. And that's kind of their big public headquarters there. They call it the Flag Land Base. And at the time, they had a guy named Richard Tinney who was running for office. And he was the city commissioner running for mayor. And they said to me, Tory, we can't handle this. We did come here on a lie, and we need you to handle this. So I'm out talking to all these people. They have honk out Scientology. They've got ladies with flags and, get rid of Scientology. And I'm going over telling them, this is my religion, go away. And basically, within 6 months, he got voted out of office in a landslide. So, which I'm not proud of, but they thought it was great. So that became my beginning career with the Office of Special Affairs, where now I'm sort of like a volunteer for the Office of Special Affairs, but I'm way up in their eyes just because I got that product, right, of getting him out of office, which they thought was fantastic. So I end up doing things for years, 20 years. I'm a volunteer for the Office of Special Affairs, which is one of the reasons why they hate me, because I know a lot of stuff about them. I wasn't there. They swear now. She only came to be a plant. She was planted, and I wasn't. I was there. I believed in Scientology. I really did. And I was like moving along, being a Scientologist, doing my little things with the Office of Special Affairs, training. I trained up. It's kind of like a pyramid. Have any of you ever seen The Truman Show? Okay, it's a lot like The Truman Show. If you haven't seen it, rent it. It's great. But it's like Jim Carrey's in it where he just can't see the walls, right? And finally he does. He gets on a boat. He starts waking up, and he gets in a boat and goes over and touches the wall and realizes it's a show. It's a con. It's not true. And that's a lot like how Scientology is. You're so insulated that it's hard to see. And people go, well, how could this happen? But some some scientists years ago did some great scientific experiments. One of them was with lines, where they had like 4 lines. And have any of you ever seen that? And the scientist took these guys in. He took 5 kids, and he said, okay, we're going to change this guy's mind. All of you guys say the short line equals the long line, right? Yeah. And then we won't tell the other guy. We're going to change his mind. And they do it once, which line equals which line, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say 1 and 4 are the short ones. And so the kids are all saying, well, 2 and 1, 3 and 4, the short and the long. And the new kid's like, what are you talking about? It's like the long line equals the long, the short equals the short. And they just start pounding him. What are you thinking of, man? You've got to focus. You're not looking on this right. You got to, come on, pay attention. We all saw it. Didn't you see it? You saw it. She saw it. Why aren't you seeing it? Okay, let's do it again. We'll give him a second chance. Okay, all right, let's start it again. Which line equals which line? And they go around. It's like the short line equals the long, short equals the long, short equals the long, and finally the kid, you can see in his face. I mean, is it true? It's been videotaped and filmed and everything, and he looks really kind of like, and he says again, no, it's the long line equals the long line, the short equals the short. And now they just go into it. You can't possibly be focusing. You're not seeing what we're seeing. Take a look at it. We'll do it again. They do it a third time, and finally you can see he kind of goes a little bit white, and he goes, okay, the short line equals the long line. And that's really what happens in Scientology. I know they won't say it will, but it does. You're surrounded by that peer pressure, and everyone's like, my God, you did OT3, didn't you? I can tell. What is your name? What is your name? Corinne, you did OT3, didn't you? I can tell. You look so fantastic. Look at her. Doesn't she look great? And everyone's like, yeah, she does look different. And it does affect you, doesn't it? You do feel a little bit better. It's kind of like, wow, all right, I am better. And you know what I mean? And you get 300 people going, you look fantastic. And you're like, I am fantastic. This stuff works, right? That's kind of, it sounds really simple, but it's a lot of money to figure that out, that you look terrific. But that's kind of one of the essences of it. It's very expensive. You have to pay every level. You can do, they have like the Sea Org, staff, public, right? But then they also have, they have 2 sides of the bridge, the training side and the auditing side. The training side is where you're training to become a counselor. The auditing side is where you are getting auditing, and you're paying to get audited. So I did what they called co-auditing, where you and I would train, and I'd audit you, you audit me, and then we switch, that kind of thing. So it's way less expensive, and it worked out great. I like the lower part of the bridge. When you get into the upper part of it, once they got to clear and that didn't work, I really think that was the downfall of Scientology. I think if they just kept the bottom part of the bridge, they'd probably do fine. And they stopped doing all this Office of Special Affairs stuff. That's nasty stuff. But they won't. They can't. Because Hubbard said in Keeping Scientology Working, you have to do what he says. That's policy. And so they're kind of built into doing that.